such a special, special woman. I'm so excited to talk to you. Thanks for making time for me and your insane life right now. Tell us a little bit about where you're at and what's been going on for you, Brooke, and who you are. Please feel free to introduce yourself.
Absolutely. Thank you so much for having me here, Katie.
You're
So right
welcome.
now I am streaming live from Serbia in front of my lover's father's exchange office. Got to do what you got to do. And I've been really on the run a lot lately. I was recently traveling in Israel, and I visited Serbia for the first time and met some of the most incredible people, and had to come back and explore a little more. And in between that, I also moved my entire life from New York and living there almost a decade back home to Miami. And at home, I plan on working on my photography business. I'm a portrait photographer. And I also am studying energy healing, which is really my main passion in life. And photography is my art, and I know it's a great gift to share, but the energy healing is my greatest muse, and that is living my life as a priestess for sure.
Yeah.
So that's what's going on.
You do live your life with such trust and such awareness of energy in a way that I've never seen embodied in another person, where you are an energy worker in your every moment. And I love, that's why it's so electrifying to be around you, because you are constantly manipulating. Seems like such a mean word, but it's not in the way that the context that I'm using it, where you are very aware of the energy going on, and you make it so much more beautiful. So, so tell us a little bit about how, because I was saying before we started recording, you're somebody who seems to really just trust the moment all the time. So how do you do that? How can we be more like Brooke in that way?
I love that. So I think that it really boils down to deep surrender, and that is very feminine energy. So anyone that's streaming this and tuning in, I think that you already have a clue into what that should feel like and look like for you. I think also based on my past experiences and being hurt by other people that have done really horrible things, not only to me, but to my family and people around me. And that's happening on a global scale, and it's happening on a one-on-one scale to each of us, in our own experiences. But what I've taken from that pain has been the seed of what has become me as a priestess, because I don't think that is inherently who I am and who we are.
Yeah.
And what can I do every day to make sure that I can find the love and the hope that I know exists in me and in others, and in different places like the middle of nowhere in Serbia. I've been crying all weekend, tears of happiness, because this is a piece of so much of what I've been looking for. And I know that meeting you and meeting our women's group was so much of that as well. And over here, I feel like I found my wolf pack of men. So it's been really fulfilling and nourishing. And there was deep trust in coming here to a land where, no one knows English as their first language. They can speak to me, but it's not their first language. And I'm eating a lot of different foods here. I actually have a little bit of a stomach bug right now, but I'm okay. But everyone's taking such good care of me. And that's the deep trust that I knew that no matter what would happen to me, I would be well taken care of. And I don't know, I wish there was more to that, but it's just like this deep trust that there are more people like me out there, and it seems to exist.
So what has it been like? So last time we were together, I think it was May. Mm-hmm. Now we're in middle of September, and it seems like since the last time we were together, you have been traveling. I mean, it has been a summer
nonstop
exploration for you. So what have you learned? What's come into your consciousness? Where have you blossomed? I want to hear all about this.
Yeah, this has been the best summer of my entire life. And I think that maybe for some people traveling could be a little chaotic, but I have found so much of myself in all of these new places that I've never seen before, and all these new people that I think I would have never met otherwise. and, and every meal, every little coffee that I've had around the world. Like, so it started with you guys in our women's group in North Carolina and the Blue Ridge Mountains. What a way to kick it off.
Yeah.
And then in between moving to Miami, I traveled around New York a ton. I was in the Hamptons a little bit with my sister, which is that's normal. Every year we go for a little bit. And then I got invited to 4 different camping trips consecutively, like 4 weekends in a row with 4 different groups of friends. And I saw 4 different parts of New York that I hadn't really been to, and had some of the most spectacular times with my groups of friends. And then after that, I went to Israel, and I went on a beautiful group trip called Birthright. And this really amazing organization, Taglit, they give you a free trip to travel Israel, and it's the most intense 10 days ever because they pack everything in. There's so much to see. You sometimes go to maybe like 3 different sites in one day, and me, I go to bed at like 4 a.m. because I have to close out the night hanging out with everyone because I just love everyone so much. I'm not going to sleep. And we're waking up at 7 or 8 in the morning. Yeah. And we keep going and going and going. But anyways, I made it through. Then I had 2 weeks in Israel to travel alone, and I saw old family I hadn't seen since I was a baby. I saw 4 different friends of mine that I grew up with in Miami from like different stages of my life. And kind of did things solo, and it was my first trip that I had done completely alone, and I felt so big. Safe. Yeah, I felt so safe and so held, and I didn't go anywhere too far on my own, just so I could actually be safe instead of just feeling safe. So I kind of stayed in Tel Aviv in the city, which feels like a good blend of Miami and New York. So I was like, oh, I'm home. It's all good, Yeah, and then I went to Serbia for 1 week, and coming here really blew me away. I thought that I was going to be coming to a farm town and reading. I brought 3 books with me to read. The book that you gave me was one of them. But I only read half of one book because I ended up meeting the most incredible people, and they really were like home for me. And I also was realizing that I was like rising in love with not only one person, but I also met a soul brother, and it was really so profound. That's what drew me back.
I want to talk about bringing in the divine masculine into your life.
Yeah,
in the way that you're talking about, and what's that been like?
Definitely. So finding this mirror of mine, it's so funny because it's in the beginning when I met my soul brother, I was almost confused, like, am I into him? Like, what's going on here? But then one night we were at a party together, and he sat down with me, and we started talking about the soul and all of these deep things that I know I love to talk about.
Yeah,
and
which is why you're always the one staying up until 4 a.m. with all of us.
Exactly.
Like, leading those conversations. Yeah.
I can't stop. Like, it lights me up so much. So I was having one of those really profound conversations, and then in the midst of it, he showed me a picture of one of our mutual girlfriends, and he goes, "This is my love." And it all clicked for me, and I was like, oh my God, that's perfect, because of course she was the one girl that I connected with more than any other person here. And I was like, you guys are like my king and my queen. So once I figured out that it wasn't that I actually really was like in love with him romantically, I was able to separate that and be like, wait, no, something really profound is happening here. And the way that I was able to identify that was really through a lot of the similarities that we shared in terms of our interests with energy healing. He does a lot of physical energy work, so I brought a lot of my tools here, and I left them all at his house, and I've been teaching him a lot about my end of the spectrum of things, because he understands the concepts, but in terms of him actually learning from anyone, there's not really much here. Like, I don't know, in America, we're very tapped in socially online. That's not really a big thing here. And my crystal healing certification was acquired online. So, we have access to these things, and that's how you and I met. And that's how so many of our sisterhood and friendships have blossomed. And that's how the women are
connecting to our energy here. It's all,
now. Mm-hmm. And it's so profound and so amazing and miraculous. And I love everything about that, but they're not like tribes people. They're not villagers. We always joke about that. They, like I'm here on Wi-Fi right now, but I just think it's not as much a part of weaved into their culture. So I know now that I'm able to bring my materials here, and I brought my notes here to share with them because, well, I say them because it's Danilo, my soul brother, and Philip, my love. Like they both do physical energy work and healing work, and some of the best massage therapists that I've ever worked with in my life, if I must say. But yeah, the divine masculine and like identifying that in him has been really very sacred and beautiful for me. And I feel like that integration of finding myself in these men has really been one of the greatest and most fulfilling gifts, if not of my whole year, my whole life. I don't know. It's not something you come by very frequently,
I agree. And I think I'll speak for the women that I know and that I have these conversations with. It's kind of, first we really reawaken the Shakti, the feminine. We get really comfortable with her and wearing her. But then once you introduce, you're balancing out how sacred the masculine is within you as well. It's like, whoa, the balance of the two and how they work together is really life-changing. It's really life-changing. Your perception on everything is different.
No doubt.
Yeah, and to have that masculine support too, and not only finding the balance within yourself, but having that as as a mirror, as a friend,
yes,
a teacher, lovers. Those are really, really important connections.
Extremely. Yeah. It was making me think. Before I came here, I pulled a few cards, of course. From my various decks.
Yeah.
And one of them that I pulled when I was thinking about the guys, I literally pulled the card of integration from my Osho deck. And I looked at that, and it has like the swan, and it has the eagle, and the yin, and the yang, and the fire, and the water. And I feel like when that aspect of the divine masculine is introduced into our lives, and vice versa, as how my divine feminine has been introduced into their lives.
Oh, I'm sure.
I mean, they're like, I know that they're soaking me up the same way that I am. I told them, I was like, coming here to me, I feel like you guys are the oasis in the desert for me, and I feel them soaking me up too. Like, it's ultimate nourishment, Yeah, so it's really a coming home. It really is. And that's why I say it's the greatest gift, because it's not anything necessarily tangible beyond our physical bodies, which is beautiful enough, but what it's doing for me and in how it's inspiring me, that is the medicine that's going to carry me through every single day of my life, to make sure that I know I'm living in my highest power and really sharing my gifts and doing something good for the world and good for me, because that is what's going to be good for the world. It all starts with us in the end.
Absolutely. This has been such a theme of healing yourself to heal the world, which is, I think I heard Lizzie, Awake Woman, Lizzie, say that first, where she, explaining that, like once you start doing that healing work on yourself and you really reach that place of bliss and surrender and trust, then you are able to give that out. Which I so feel you doing all of the time. I feel like you live this embodied in a really graceful way. I almost wanted to say you make it look easy, but I don't. That sounds like no. Because it takes a lot. It takes a lot for the way you live your life. It takes a lot of reflection and a lot of work. So I see that in you, and it comes through really clearly. What else do I want to ask you? Oh my gosh.
Well, I can tell you that I do think that it actually is easy, because it's now second nature, and it's no surprise that I've ended up here based on what I know has happened to me. It's not defining me like my problems are me. It's like, this is something that's happened to me and how I've transformed that and transmuted that to become this really powerful force that is now Brooke.
Yeah.
Is natural. And it's a day by day, like those little micro movements, the little choices that I make, no matter what it is that I'm eating and drinking and studying, I know that it's somehow in alignment with this whole greater good of what is becoming. Now, what you say is like so graceful, you know? It's second nature. And I think that you start small and you start thinking about what it is that's driving you in life. And I know for me, like, I was just interested in crystals and oils, and it was like one thing led to another, and that's the way it should be. You know, it's pure magic every step of the way, and the magic should be easy. So it's no surprise.
Oh, I so agree. Thank you. I completely agree with that. Our magic should feel easy. Oh.
Yeah.
That's good. That's like really good.
That's a solid tweetable.
That's a solid, like, let's get a meme out there with that one. No, I agree. That's been, I have a lot of Saturn in my chart of this, like, kind of like, and it's not good. Like, he was like, not, I have a weird placement of Saturn in my natal chart, and this is always what I have to come back to, and almost a day, like at least recently, the more that I do, the more I need to remind myself of, like, don't get too serious, and don't make it harder than it needs to be. Don't be this, like, grumpy grandpa, you know, looking at life. Make it fun and make it easy, and play with the oils and with the crystals, and make it more fun, and go hula hoop in between things, and you know, like, make it like, how can there be more flow to make it more fun and to make the magic more easy? So that's you know, and that's still me, like, trying to find that balance. And I think I see you as you have found that, and so you flow with such grace. And I think it does come down to your magic should be easy. It should
magic should be easy,
and it should flow very naturally. How beautiful!
It's like easy bake.
Exactly. So when we were on retreat together in the mountains, I shared one of the most special conversations, I think, of my life with you and Danielle Bertoya.
Danielle. Oh, yeah.
That was I'm not even going to try to recreate that in this conversation, but I think I bring that up because I want you to speak, if you can, or if you'd like to, speak to your medicine that you have for women who so my new thing that I'm obsessed with is this radical self-worth. And I think you embody that. I think you have really radical self-love and radical self-worth to where women see you so naturally in this feminine flow and loving yourself. And sometimes I can feel women in a room with you where they're just like, whoa, you can just do that? Like, you can just be that way. And so can you share a little bit of your medicine when it comes to that, when it comes to loving ourselves and all, you know what I'm talking about.
Oh, yeah. That's the juicy stuff right there.
Yeah, share as much or as little as you'd like.
Okay. So I wish there was a moment that I can, like, trace back to where it kind of was like an awestruck moment for me where I was like, oh, I'm realizing that this is happening, but I don't know if there ever really was. It was more of like, as I grew and the more I was unfolding on this spiritual path, that's what just happened. And that's what I say when there's something that inspires us. Like, I was inspired by working with these sacred healing tools. That's where the medicine is, because when we're in alignment in that way and we're working with divinity and we are going along the course that is our fate, things just kind of fall into place a little bit more naturally. And that's why I trust. And that's where that self-love, all of these practices, like working with stones and oils and all these things, that is self-love. Because every day I commit, like, no matter what it is and no matter where I am, I always make sure that I'm working with this energy just a little bit And before I came here, I told you before we started recording, I had a little bit of a stomach bug. I've been eating like crazy food and like I'm in the middle of nowhere. Like, of course, I got like a little uncomfortable, but not only do I have everybody here supporting me, constantly taking care of me and asking me, not even asking me, they're just bringing me things like bringing me soup and bringing me tea without even asking me. But what I did for myself was I started applying some of my oils for my digestive system. I sat down in the morning after I like crawled out of bed. I like laid down and I started to meditate and I was stretching my body, and I put on this beautiful citrine bracelet from our first retreat.
Yeah.
Yeah. So, it's just little things like that. And I think that it doesn't need to be something so major and something that's so kind of like overwhelming or overbearing or gets in the way. Like, it should be just a part of every day, just like brushing our teeth.
Yeah.
And that is what's the important part, that it becomes ritual. And to me, self-love practices are my favorite ritual, and I'm constantly finding out new ways to develop new rituals.
Yeah.
And sometimes it's a little bit more complex. It could look like sitting with my crystal grid and having a new moon ritual. A little bit, about that for sure.
Yeah.
And it's so much fun. And I think that's the point. It should be fun, and it should be enlightening, and it should connect us to source.
Absolutely.
Because then it's like butter,
I absolutely agree. And I say this a lot. I actually just did a ceremony this last weekend for at a bachelorette party.
And, oh my gosh, it's so fun.
Instead of getting a stripper, they had me come in and do like it was super fun. It was so fun. And I told those women, I was like, the reason we do ceremony and the reason we do this is to make every day more beautiful. It's not just about these big days like your bachelorette party or or the new moon or these like big, events, which I do absolutely go all out every once in a while for those and like really celebrate those just for myself, of course, or for others. But what you're saying, where it's just as natural as brushing your teeth and bringing that magic in every day, that's why we do ritual, is so that you can remember how to make every day really sacred and really beautiful and have those moments kind of peppered throughout,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Because we're, no matter what, we're all, our lives are crazy. Everyone has their shit. But adding that little bit of magic in, it to me, it's everything. And that's why I feel like I have such great resonance and I have such power, and people are magnetized to me in this way. Like, it's, I accept that compliment fully because I know that that's the truth, and I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not scared of that. I'm not ashamed of my sexuality and my intensity and my power, because my intensity is not hurting anyone. It's only more love, and I have so much love to give. I have so much love to give, and I think we all do, but some of us are just deeply affected and hurt by circumstances that come up in our lives. But it's like, what can you do to, like I said before, like, what can we do to transmute that energy and really alchemize it into something really powerful? And I just shared one of my most profound stories of loss last night with one of my new friends here, and it was the second time I've had the chance to, and the look on people's faces when they hear a part of my story after getting to know me a little bit, to me is just like everything, because I know that I'm on the right path, and I know that I have a story to share, and it's really not only changing me, it's helping change others that are impacted by that. So yeah, that's the good stuff right there.
We are lucky to be, anyone who's watching this or who knows you is so blessed, because there are many spiritual masters on the planet right now, and you are absolutely one of them. So thank you for stepping into that as bravely as you have, because I know a little bit about your story, and I know the trauma that you've been through, and you're when people meet you and they put that together, it leaves people, I think, a bit that they don't even know what to say. because
Exactly. Every
it's,
time.
yeah,
It's startling.
it's startling and such a miraculous story that, yeah, I'm actually tearing up a little because it's just really, really profound. And so thank you for sharing your medicine and being in the flow and embracing the everyday rituals and the everyday magic and making it simple and making it fun, because that is what we all can live that way every day. Every day. Yeah, and you're showing us
Every
how.
single day. Yes.
Yeah, you're showing us
Yes.
how. So what's up next for you? Where is your
Hmm.
where's all this passion and this enormous summer that's been feeding you? Where is that taking you?
Well, now that I'm moving back home, which is so wild in and of itself, and I spoke with you and the group a little bit about it at our retreat, that this is a huge move for me, to be moving my life as an independent woman in New York, to go back home, literally the room that I grew up in, and also it's the home where I experienced the greatest loss of my life.
Mm-hmm.
So, let alone, like, I don't really feel super safe there, but I'm challenging myself to put myself back there, to live with my family for a little bit. My brother also just moved home, so I'm so excited to live with him
Yeah.
and kind of celebrate with my family that we're back together again. So I'm going to enjoy that, and I'm going to really take this time to not be distracted by a 9 to 5 job, because I was managing an amazing, amazing, amazing store that I loved with all my heart. But for me, I think that I have a little bit of different work to do in the world.
Mm-hmm.
So I I'm gonna be doing some kind of similar work, like a day job at a cold pressed juice bar, and
Mm-hmm.
which is beautiful because I love being in that kind of environment. So very high vibe, good food,
Yeah,
good
totally.
people.
And really
Yeah,
grounding to like prepare
super
food.
grounding.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. So that's a good environment. But I'm not going to be spending, I think, as much time and as much of a percentage of my commitment on
Good.
that. But
I'm
I'll
really
be doing
happy
that.
to hear
Oh,
this.
I
I
know,
want
me
to
too.
know what I
It's
want to
really
see the big
refreshing.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, so it was kind of like a give and a take. Like, I'm still pretty young. I'm only 26 now,
Hmm.
but to move home, it didn't feel like a defeat. It was like, okay, this is actually going to really help me so that I don't have to pay rent for a while, and so that I could really focus on this work more,
Yeah.
because I have an amazing energy healer back down at home, not too far away from me. So I'm going to see if I can apprentice with her a little bit, and I want to
Beautiful.
get my website started back up. It's going to be called May the Quartz Be With You.
Hmm.
And I'm going to be working a lot with my essential oil blends. I'll be making custom blends for everyone and anyone, and hopefully giving lots of crystal healings, because I've been really just doing that for myself and some really like intimately close friends that know about that work and want to do that with me. So I actually brought a lot of my stuff here to Serbia, of course. I'm going to be doing that for everyone. They're all like freaking out. They're like, "You're so cool and witchy."
Oh, I love that.
So
It's
I
so
hope to
good.
just keep spreading the magic, especially back down at home, because Miami is a little bit of a crazy place to be. So I think that there's a lot of healing needed there.
I agree. I agree, and I
Yeah.
know I know that feeling. So I'm in St. Louis, Missouri, and it's like
Mm-hmm.
there's pockets of us, right? But you really
Mm-hmm.
do have to like kind of have to dig a lot to like find
Yeah.
it, and then you're like, oh, good, I like struck gold and finding this person that I can like apprentice with or just be sisters with.
Yeah.
So and that's really good. That's like a really it's been good for me. It makes me put myself out there a little bit more. It challenges me in certain conversations. So yeah, so we can jam on that anytime offline that you want to.
Definitely.
Yep.
Yeah. I would love that.
Yeah,
Without a
yeah.
doubt.
Yeah. Well, thank you for your time and making this work. You like I can tell you really hustled to here. I'm keeping this appointment. We're gonna have this conversation.
No doubt. No doubt. I was looking
Yeah,
forward to it, and
I
all my friends
appreciate
knew that
it.
I was going to talk about this with you, because I wrote down that answer on the interview for the beginning of the application. I
Yeah.
answered, "What does a priestess mean to me?"
Hmm.
And that morning when I replied to that, I was feeling ultra inspired. I think I cried 6 or 7 times that
Oh.
day, tears of happiness, because every time I cried, I laughed. It was not like sadness.
Yeah.
It was a deep feeling of happiness that I've been so blessed with this community here and all this love. So I'm sad that Serbia is so far away, but at the same time, it's I could be here in one day if I need to be. So it's a quick 8-hour flight, 10-hour flight. But nonetheless, it's here. And I think that I've also found that in my sisters, which includes you. So it just keeps getting better day in and day out. And I hope that these interviews just inspires whoever tunes in, because the magic is here, the magic is now, and it's super real.
Yeah, thank you for embodying it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So I will link up everywhere that we can find you and get notified for when May the Courts Be With You is launched. And Brooke, you've done all the headshots on my website, I think, right now.
Yes.
Are you? I mean, there's a few sprinkled in that are older, but I feel so you are so a part of my website in that way, where those photos where I felt like you really captured me. It's just there's Brooke too, standing with me. So yeah, thank you. For everything that you've done for me personally, and I'm just so excited for the women who are going to touch your energy when they watch this. You're such a special person.
Thank you, my love.
Yeah,
Thank
so
you.
thanks for being with us.